6, 5,
Shit's gonna blow up.
4,
Oh my
3.
god.
What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of 360 Sports. Today we're talking all things college basketball. You got myself, Alex, AJ, and Justino. So let's get right into it. Starting with headline number 1. John Calipari is now the coach of the Arkansas Razorbacks. He's moving up from Kentucky after a lot of years. What are your guys' initial thoughts? Maybe new head coach coming in?
I'm very disappointed in the Kentucky fan base. John Calipari is a generational coach, and they had a couple years where they didn't do as good as they wanted. They didn't have as much success as they wanted, and they pushed them out. They got too greedy. They got all these 5-star recruits coming into their program year in and year out. They got greedy, and they pushed out a great coach.
I'm inclined to agree. How many tournament games do you think they've won these past 3 years with all these
They've
five-star
won
recruits?
one or two. One.
They have lost to Oakland. Shout out Jack Kolke. He is green. And St. Peter's. They let Doug Eder game them, okay? And they had like 3 5-star recruits.
Yeah.
So do you think that's the player's problem or the coach's problem?
I'll say something about Calipari. I think he's like, you can compare him a little bit, even though like he's better than James Franklin because he's won the title. But as a recruiter, he recruits very well. He recruits at an insane level. He was like the number 1 recruiting class coming in this year. Justin Edwards, Aaron Bradshaw. He had Reed Shepard, exactly. He had so many lottery picks on this team. I would be interesting to see if they fall into Arkansas. If guys
I don't think so. I think they're all going to the draft.
They've already had guys decommit.
Yeah.
Well, I already know Shepard and Dillingham will go to the draft and stuff.
Here's the thing. Only a school like Kentucky can survive him leaving. This kind of brings me on the next point, which is like, who's going to replace Calipari? I mean, because Big Blue Nation has big pockets. They could pay for just about anyone. I mean, people are thinking that Dan Hurley could leave. I don't think that's ever happening. He said last night he's not leaving stores. No. But like that's the kind of fish they're trying to go after. I know they wanted to go after Nate Oates, but I think he's off the table. Now I think the move for the Kentucky is Scott Drew. Now Scott Drew has been at Baylor for over 2 decades, right? So like, why would he leave? But like, I mean, he won a national championship 3 years ago, but now, the number 1 reason why I think he would leave Baylor for Kentucky is money.
Yeah.
And Kentucky could pay up no matter what. And people were saying Rick Pitino, even Richard Pitino. Rick Pitino's too old for me. Like, they want a long-term coach. Like, Rick Pitino's a fantastic basketball coach.
No,
but, like, Scott Drew can recruit at maybe the same level. He can recruit at the same level as a Calipari. And Calipari, whatever.
Yeah.
You're going over the pronunciation words. So. I just think that Scott Drew is like the perfect fit, honestly, and he can recruit at the same clip as Calipari can.
Yeah, I'll throw out a couple names here. I'll throw out Chris Beard, the former Texas Tech head coach. He's kind of an under the radar head coach. He led them to a national title 5 years ago against Virginia. He's kind of he's an under the radar coach, but he can recruit very well. He got a lot of big guy names there, and another name, Juwan Howard. Juwan Howard, he had good years at Michigan, and he struggled. He struggled. He brings in big names, exactly. He had a good year where they were top 5 in the country a few years ago. They almost got Caleb Love committed there and then decommitted. They would have been very good this year if Caleb Love stayed and Hunter Dickinson stayed. So I think the team overall was good with him. They struggled this year. They lost Dickinson. That's why they struggled, Alex. So I think Howard would be an all right fit there if he can get players in.
You can have a player leave and still be good. You don't go 8-20 because one player leaves. You're able to win more.
He was the player of that team. He led that.
Sure,
he carried that team.
Yeah.
That's why
Why do you think he left?
To go win a title somewhere else. Michigan wasn't going to win.
Exactly.
Because he was the only player on the team. That's what I said.
Yeah, I will say about Calipari, he's probably the greatest recruiting coach of all time. However, when it comes to winning, he hasn't done it. Like,
I mean, 2014, he had Carl Anthony Towns, Booker, Randall, Monk. Like, he had so many.
I know, but like, which coach would mess that up? Like, I want to know, like, what kind of coach could actually lose with that kind of talent?
No, but I feel like he's been very clear that, like, obviously he wants to win, but his job is to get them ready for the next level. That's why they're coming to Kentucky. That's why they're going to Calipari.
Does Kentucky want great players in the NBA, or do they want to win national championships? That's what this moves is about.
Yeah.
Because they want to win national championships.
All right, moving on. We got to talk about this weekend. National championships for women's and men's just happened. Let's start off on the women's side. South Carolina just beat our glorious Caitlin Clark. So, I mean, Caitlin Clark, she had 30 points, but ultimately Gamecocks are they're too good of a team. What do you guys think?
Dawn Staley is a legend. Just plain and simple, she is a legend. She's from Philly, Alex, so you would be happy about this. First coach since Kim Mulkey at Baylor with a perfect season back in 2012. So They were really good last year. They should have won it last year. They didn't.
Yep.
But this year they came back. Sort of a revenge story, right? They lost to Caitlin Clark last year. This year they came back and won it. Caitlin Clark was limited so much in this game, especially from the first quarter on, because she had so many points in the first quarter, and then they limited her completely. They shut her down with that defense. They have a lot of height on that team. That's the main reason I think they're really good. And it's crazy. Last year they had so much like WNBA talent, they weren't able to win it. This year they had their team was like, you could say under the radar, but there wasn't any prominent names like Caitlin Clark.
They didn't
on
have a
that team.
star.
Exactly.
Well,
That's what I was
hold
gonna
on, they
say.
have Cardoso.
They do.
That
Who's
is
a star.
a
But, like,
big
yeah.
name.
Okay,
in
sure.
women's basketball.
That's a big name, right? But it's not Paige Becker.
That's
It's
what we're
not
trying to
Angel
say,
Reese,
right?
and it's
Star.
not
I
Caitlin
could see
Clark.
that.
Or
That's the
Juju
thing.
Watkins. Those are, like, the
Exactly. It's not
stars.
any of those four.
Yes.
Those are like the stars. And like again, next year it's gonna be the same story. It's gonna be Paige Becker's Juju Watkins show. Like it's gonna be their show.
All it proves is you need a good coach, right? Like Dawn Staley is an excellent coach.
Yeah.
In women's basketball, that coach is the main factor.
Dawn Staley
what-
lost they were like top 3 picks in the WNBA draft last year.
Yep. Uh-huh.
She lost generational players and then just went back this year and just went undefeated.
It sort of
Like-
seems like Georgia from when they went back to back a little bit,
Right,
because
and it's always
Georgia
right.
lost like their whole team to the draft defensively, and then they won it the
Right.
next year.
And Georgia never had that star. I mean,
They-
Stetson
that
Bennett, but I wouldn't
second
call him
year-
a star.
Yeah.
Like that guy should be an accountant, but that's besides the point. I just think it's incredibly impressive. And I think when we think about the 2023-2024 Iowa team, we're going to be like, oh, that was Kate in them, right? Like,
Yeah,
Yeah.
That's what we're gonna think.
She defined women's basketball. So.
yeah.
Yeah.
What are your
like-
thoughts, AJ?
Again, if she had like, I would think if Caitlin had any of one of the South Carolina starters on their team, I think they'd win that game. But
Yep.
no disrespect to Kate Martin and Gabby Marshall. They're just not good enough to win on
Yeah.
that level.
Mm-hmm.
For me in this game, I was impressed with the South Carolina freshmen. With Tessa
Oh,
Johnson
yep.
and Malaysia Full Wiley.
Off the bench.
They came off the bench, and after we already talked about the first quarter, Caitlin Clark came in and set a first quarter record in the national championship game. They came in off the bench, ready to go. They knew what they had to do. Tessa Johnson had a career high in this game. It was her best game of the year. Came off the bench, put up 19 points, 3 3-pointers. She was really the X factor. She
Yep.
came in, and it was close pretty much the whole way, and then she starts hitting shots. All of a sudden, it's not a close game anymore.
Yeah,
That's what makes Dawn Staley great. Everyone's prepared all the time.
Yeah.
everyone has that mindset.
I would say that I was kind of surprised that like UConn in the UConn game, Nika Mula, they were throwing her at Caitlin Clark.
Yeah.
They weren't letting Caitlin Clark touch the ball. I was just surprised that South Carolina didn't come into the game with that same mentality.
They,
It was working for
They
UConn.
like let her shoot.
Yeah,
And then
exactly.
it didn't work.
Yeah,
Like,
I don't know.
I
I was a little confused on that.
Sense, yeah.
But however, we got to move on. We're going to talk about the team that went back to back. The UConn Huskies have went back to back. It's over. It's decided. They beat Zach Edey and Purdue. Zach Edey, he had 37 points, 10 rebounds. But yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, Tristan Newton and Stephon Castle were the heroes. They led UConn to this championship. What are you guys
Yeah, I mean, I had Purdue winning the title. Unfortunately, it came down to the
Yeah.
buzzer. Me and someone in our league, I lost, so whatever. But I mean, Dan Hurley is an unconventional coach.
Yep.
He's a
Absolutely.
maniac.
He's an unconventional coach. He's on
I
the
love
court like 90% of the time, which is incredible as a coach. And he just wins titles. I mean, his last 2 years, you remember the clip from 4 years ago saying you better get us now. Well, absolutely, because Donovan Clingan might have been his best recruit ever. I'm just going to put it right there, ever. He was a top, I think, 30 recruit in the country as a freshman. Came in off the bench behind Sonoga, who was already dominant there before Clingan even got there. Now Clingan ran the show. And then you have guys like Newton, Castle, Diarra had like 10 points off the bench last night. I mean, they just complement each other really well. And there was coming into the tournament, no team could match their intensity. That's because they're a coach.
And for me in this game, we talked about Edey, Newton, Castle, Clingan, but for me it was Cam Spencer. Cam
Yeah.
Spencer was the decider of this game. When it's all said and done, Cam Spencer is what got them over the hump. It was close, back and forth. UConn couldn't really pull away, but then Cam Spencer comes in. His stat line wasn't too impressive. 11 points, 8 rebounds, 2 assists, 2 steals, and 1 block. But there's one thing there. He fills the stat sheet. He does a little bit of everything. Whenever there's a Purdue run, Purdue starts making some shots.
Yep.
All of a sudden, who's there on the ball defending at half court? Cam Spencer. Who gets a deflection? Cam Spencer. Who gets the steal? It's Cam Spencer. Pass up ahead, a dunk. That changed the whole momentum of the game. That's why he was my X factor. He was my hero. This
You know,
game.
I think Cam Spencer, I wholeheartedly agree. I think he played himself into an NBA pick. He was at Rutgers last year. He transferred here. He's perfect. And you know what he reminds me of? A Josh Hart. like exactly like a Josh Hart. He is
Absolutely.
an energizer bunny. He will go get you rebounds, offensive rebounds, a little bit undersized for his position, but he will do absolutely everything possible to win a game. And he's probably as big as a maniac as Dan Hurley. I mean, he pushed him in the middle of the game, but like then they're just like, no, it's all love. So like.
It sort of seems like, remember Andy Reid and Kelsey in the Super Bowl?
Yeah.
Like coaches getting it. I mean, that's different.
a little
That's
bit
different.
different.
That's different. And you have an opinion.
Those are
about that.
professionals
Yeah.
right there.
Yeah.
Spencer's a kid.
And another thing,
Well,
going off with like your comparison to Josh Hart, I think that's really good because another thing that I noticed with Cam Spencer is that he was always in the right place at the right time. And when you talk about
That's a Hurley coach team right there.
exactly, and that like Josh Hart is very cerebral. Coming out of Villanova, they know how to play the right way. Like whether it's on defense, doubling down in the post, raking, trapping, he's always in rotation. If there's a scramble or something, he's always in the right place at the right time.
I think the story of this game is, first off, Purdue got too Edey heavy. I mean, literally every possession they
That's
tried
what
to
they've
get
been
into.
doing the last few games.
They made one 3-pointer the entire first half.
Yeah.
Like nobody else was taking shots. And I'm sorry, but like when you're down 9 points and you're still trying to go down to Edey, that doesn't really make any sense.
Exactly.
You need threes to win the ball game.
I think part of their game plan is it's what they've done all years. If you get Edey going early, they're a team. The opposing team has to make a decision. They either have to double or do
They
something.
didn't have to
Get
double
Edey the
him. They have
ball.
Klingon.
I know.
Well, Klingon was getting bullied all night. They had to do something. That's why.
The thing is with Edey, they want Edey to pass it out so the way they get their shooters out. But then
Anyone else beat us but Edey. Anyone else beat us, basically.
Well,
He's still at 37,
He runs
but
through
like-
that team.
Yeah.
So,
All right, well, it was a great game between the two of them. UConn came out on top. But moving on, I want all three of you guys to go up to the board and tell us your three favorite, your craziest play, craziest moment, craziest matchup, anything you give me. We got AJ up there.
I'm up first.
Yeah.
I swear, that's one of you better pick Jack Golke.
Jack.
No, I didn't quite go with
It's
Jack
too
Golke.
easy.
My favorite moment from this tournament was Cam Hyde's putback dunk in the championship game. This might have been one of the most phenomenal plays I've ever seen in my life. It was one of the most athletic things I've ever seen. So look at the extension. Look at the vertical. He gets up, arm goes all the way back, and he's going over 2 7-footers. To me, this was just an incredible play. Brought energy back to Purdue. And allow them to go back onto a run to try and get back in this game. They didn't get the result they wanted, but it cut to a 7-point lead. So I think just get the momentum, the energy going, the bench reaction. The bench loved it. That's why it's probably my favorite moment of the entire tournament this year.
Yeah, that's a really good moment. I mean, I was watching that live. I mean, listen, there's just a lot of there's a lot of great like players in this tournament. That's a little underrated. I feel like. All right, I'll go to my moment now, and then mine's not really a moment; it's a team because listen, this team right here, NC State, went on a run this tournament. I mean, you talk about the way they came into the tournament; they barely beat Louisville. Louisville was terrible in the ACC this year. They were absolutely terrible. They barely beat Louisville. They go on a very long run, and the Pack, they were in fact back. Shout out Jair Alexander. And, DJ Burns was just an incredible player in the post. His move, his finesse in the paint is something that has to be studied.
Baby Shaq.
There is like no other player in this tournament that had a move like him. Filipowski was out. Like he just got beat by him. Like Burns beat him every single like possession. Like we're going to watch here, just like a little like jab step, a little in, then a little hook shot. I mean, it's so easy with him. And then you had shooters like Michael O'Connell. You had DJ Horn, who was their best player in this tournament, by the way. And then you had guys like Diarra, who was my favorite player to watch just because of how many rebounds he got all game long. And, he was doing it, while on Ramadan the entire time as well, which is incredible just because he's not able to eat during the day. He was just going out there, playing his game. And, yeah, I mean, this NC State team, you could watch him. I could watch it over and over again. They just were incredible. DJ Burns was just insane. Yeah. Like in this game especially, he's insane.
I think he more than earned his Raising Cane's NIL deal.
Yeah, I saw that.
I love how he embraces it. We all talk about like the physique, the finesse. We all know there's
That's what a real man looks like.
I say that's but at this level, you don't see a lot of people with that figure. So I just love how he embraces it.
Yeah, and his
I got
move is insane.
4-letter word, UNIT, unit. That is what DJ Burns is.
All right, Alex, what you got for us?
This is a classic March Madness moment here. The ending of Colorado and Florida. KJ Simpson with the most skilled shot of all time. The only problem I have with it is that it reminds me of Kawhi Leonard's shot in Game 7 against my Sixers. Wait, I want to talk about it. And before this, Florida had hit a shot from about 30 feet out in Curry range to tie the game, and then Colorado comes back and be like, all right, bet. And then they just hit that shot. So, I mean, this is what March Madness is all about. Shots that you probably never see go in, and all these amazing endings that you'll probably never see over a regular season all happen in one tournament. And honestly, it doesn't really get better than this, does it? This is why they call it March Madness. Like moments like these, man, it just gives you chills.
Yeah. If it was a buzzer beater, it would have been insane. It would have been Kawhi Leonard flashbacks. If it was like an actual buzzer beater, like
Is
the
this
clock
the
is
dagger?
0. Yeah. I mean, Kevin Harlan was on the call. My favorite call. That's my favorite part
Yeah,
about
that's
March
another
Madness.
part that reminded me of is that Kevin Harlan was on it.
I
I'm
mean,
like,
you remember Furman, Virginia last year. I mean, he's just an incredible announcer.
Yeah.
Like, at he's peak.
him or Ryan Eagle.
No, Kevin Harlan.
Eagles.
Ooh,
Harlan, easily.
I don't know about
easily
that one.
Harlan. I would take Harlan in the championship game all the time. Like, Eagles a great announcer,
Yep.
I agree. But this Eagles a little,
I want to see Harlan do the Final Four next year,
He
and then
should.
have it
Harlan's
alternate.
Well, why don't you do the Shaq cast? Shaq and Charles.
Yeah.
We should
moving on.
get that going.
Got mine's the last
Tarasi
one. Got the best game of the tournament. You already know what it is. Houston,
Oh, yes.
Texas A&M. This
Watch
finish
this.
was crazy. All right, so right here, right, you're thinking Houston's got this in the bag. 3-point game. All you can do is just not allow a three. And let's just take a look and see what they do. Watch the play they drew up right here. This is a beautiful play call. Went around the screen, slips through. Look at him wide open. Who's got him? Nothing but net. I mean, this is just a perfect play. This symbolizes March right here. It's his craziness at its finest. This game was impeccable. I mean, it almost looked like a football game. There were bodies flying the entire game. I mean, Jamal Sheed had the game of his life. He's one of the National Player of the Year for a reason. Houston had 5 guys almost fouled out. I believe they had 4 fouled out, and the other 2 were in foul trouble or so. That was 4 starters fouled out by the end of the game. Houston went on to win this. Thank goodness for my bracket. But overall, I think this was a crazy game. Craziest finish of the tournament, in my opinion. Yeah, that's what I got.
Yeah, Houston, man, it's so sad what happened to Shed.
Yeah.
I think they
Midway
make the
through that
fin- they
tournament, I
definitely
mean,
make the
Shed,
final-
man, like,
they
if-
make the Final Four with Shed.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Shed's
Yep.
playing like Duke
It's a game
put up
changer.
53 points. They
Yeah.
they were down like 8 before he got hurt. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, that was just that was crushing. But that moment was insane.
Yeah, that wouldn't hurt.
I mean, that was like the only like buzzer beater that we
Yeah.
even like had in the tournament. If you're gonna say it, because there was like an over under before the tournament, over or under like one buzzer beater, like a half buzzer beater. It didn't hit.
yeah.
There was none.
All right, moving on. We got you guys are gonna give me 2 of your favorite draft prospects from could be women's, could be men's. It's all up to you guys. All right, let's get a look into it. First off, we got AJ.
Yeah, I went with both one pick from the men's side and the women's side. For me, on the men's, I had to go Dalton Connect because Dalton Connect, he's a 5th-year senior this year, and I think he's draft ready right now. He's ready to go into the lineup. I don't think he's a starter right now. I think if you put him into the rotation, he's going to make an impact. I don't want to compare him to like a Christian Braun, but he could have an immediate impact like that. I think he's more skilled offensively, but he could come in on a team like I was thinking maybe like in a Miami Heat. They love guys like this. He'd come and make an impact right away. Then I have Cameron Brink. Cameron Brink, doesn't matter where she goes, she's going to make an impact immediately. She's Naismith Defensive Player of the Year, Pac-12 Player of the Year, and Defensive Player of the Year for a reason. She is a giant presence on the court. And now that, but like just outside of her defense, she's stretched her game offensively. So now like she wasn't normally able to step outside 3-point line or mid-range and make the shots consistently, and now she is, and I think that is a game changer.
Yeah, those are good. I mean, Cameron Brink's going to be incredible in the WNBA. All right, for my 2 picks, I went with a couple guys that are, in my opinion, NBA ready to start right away. Rob Dillingham, I'll go with my first guy. The NBA has turned into a league where just get buckets, just score. Rob Dillingham gets buckets. Like him and Reeves, Antonio Reeves, just got buckets. Like they put up 90 points a game for a reason.
Yeah.
Dillingham was incredible the entire season. And I'll go to my other guy, Donovan Clingan. I mean, Clingan, what do you see now in the NBA? You see the pick and roll. You see the big pick and roll.
Yeah, he knows how to
Edie
work
doesn't
that.
fit in the NBA with
And
that
he can
type of play.
stretch.
Clingan can stretch, exactly. Clingan can stretch the floor. He can shoot the 3 very well. I mean, he's just an incredible player from top to bottom.
All right, moving on. Alex, it's all you.
Yeah, Alex.
I got Stephon Castle. Stephon Castle, 2 words, championship pedigree. This guy locks it down. And honestly, nothing translates better to the NBA than defense. And also, this guy is extremely smart and will fit into NBA offenses pretty well. Like, I think this guy is extremely NBA ready. This guy wins at the highest level. He's just a winner. He makes winning plays all the time. I mean, he is an NBA coach's dream. And then we have Jared McCain. He might be 2 days into college. He might be a couple classes behind. But by golly, can this guy shoot the rock? Like, wow, can he shoot? Like, he'll fit in NBA offenses perfectly, especially ones that promote ball movement. And he also makes extremely smart decisions, whether it's off the pick and roll, whether he's trying to space it out. Like, he could do everything offensively. Now the defense is a bigger question than that, but I think if you can hide him on defense, he's going to be. I think he kind of profiles into like more of like not like a Tyler Hero, but like in the way that he's mostly featured on an offense.
Yeah.
That in that sense, and they'll try to hide him a bit on defense, even though he could play a little bit.
Yeah.
Like JJ Redick almost.
Yeah, almost like that. And that's why I think he'll translate and have an extremely long NBA career. He might not be an all-star, but I think he's going to have a long NBA career
I think he'll be successful
as a starter.
too.
Yeah.
Alex, I think you forgot 2 lectures behind.
A couple lectures.
All right, moving on. You got mine. Starting off, we'll stick with the guards here. Tyler Kolek. This is the best point guard in the country. I've been saying this for so long. If you give Wemby Tyler Kolek, this is Tony Parker written all over him. I think
that's crazy.
I think it's projected to go in the second round.
But that's a good comp.
I think
comp.
this is just the NBA scouts overlooking a guy. I think he does everything you want him to do.
He does.
He dishes the ball unbelievably. He's had multiple games this season with 15 or more assists. He's probably one of Marquette's most reliable scorers as well.
They needed.
I mean, he chooses when he wants to facilitate or put the ball in the hoop. He's won Big East Player of the Year, Big East Tournament MVP. He's been on several watch lists for Player of the Year. This guy's done it all. Moving on to Terrence. Oh my God, Terrence Shannon Jr. What he did in the tournament was ridiculous. He was averaging 31.2 points in the tournament before they played UConn. But I will say he is 23 years old, so he's on the older side of the draft. Some people are going to like that, just like Dalton Necht is. But I think immediate comparison when I think of him is like a Kelly Oubre in the way that he could slash, get to the hoop, get to the rim. He's a very versatile finisher. I think both these guys could excel in the NBA, even though they're both low slept on. They're both second round projections, but I think they're better than what they're saying.
I love the Kolek projection.
I think they both translate perfectly when it comes to the speed of the NBA game.
Yeah.
I mean, you watch these guys drive to the rack. I mean, it's just like you're like these guys are pure athletes, and that definitely translates at the NBA level.
Yeah, Kolek and Wembanyama. That'd be scary.
That's what I'm saying.
If Kolek can play
I don't
like
think he
that,
goes that high, unless you have another.
he could second round. I mean, that's
second
any
round, if they have a second round.
yeah.
I don't know what their picks are.
No.
Knowing that OKC has half the picks in the draft, they probably take both of these.
Yeah, OKC is fleecing the whole league, man, with what they're doing. It's insane.
All right, on to the next one. We got the transfer portals coming in. Some of the biggest names got Bronny James, Haley Van Lite. So I wanted to ask you guys, what do you think about the current transfer portal right now? Do you have any predictions about where anyone might go? Anything
I
like
just have
that?
to say, like, I love how Bronny James said he was entering the transfer portal, and a day later he goes to the draft. Like, it's
Yeah.
like not
I
even
think
like
he's
both.
both.
He's
So-
both.
yeah,
Oh,
so
he's
he has the
both.
decision.
Okay, well,
Yeah.
he's probably gonna go to the NBA. Like, let's be real. But like, in terms of the transfer portal, I mean, I think you can. It's hard to predict. Like, Connect came from where? Like Northern Colorado.
Northern
Like,
Colorado.
can you actually predict that? Like, that's
Yeah.
so much. Like, there's so many players like everywhere that can go different places. I don't know. Caleb Love would probably commit to the draft. I would think.
Yeah.
Does he have another year?
I think
he
they
does.
both
Might
have
have this
one
COVID
So
year.
I don't know if like if it'd be funny if he committed somewhere
by
else.
the time
Yeah.
he gets
Yeah.
to the Utah Jazz.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Like, there's so many different guys.
Yeah, I mean, in my honest opinion, I think the transfer portal is ruining the game.
Oh,
I think
it is.
the tournament this year is missing so much of that homegrown talent and the seniors on each team that just thrive. And there's a freshman coming in. It's like, oh wow, this guy looks really good. He puts up 13 off the bench. Like,
Yeah.
wow, he looks pretty
You
solid.
just don't see a guy that's in the program for 4
Yeah.
years.
You don't
it's tough
see
to
it.
see.
Like
that
you
now.
don't see that, like an RJ Davis
Or
doesn't
an
come
Edey.
around for a while.
Yeah.
or an Edey or a
Edey.
Baycock. Like, yeah, there's like selective guys. You don't see that very much.
Mhm. It's either you're like Duke, where like everyone's a freshman, but they're all highly recruited, and Kentucky. Like
Yeah.
you can't really call them homegrown because they're there for a year and they're gone.
Yeah, exactly.
For me, the transfer portal, my most impactful transfer that has already been made. Georgia Amore out of Virginia Tech just transferred to Kentucky because her coach got the new head coaching job at Kentucky, and I think that's probably going to be one of the most impactful transfers in the country next year because she's All-American and she knows how to win, and she's going with the coach who knows how to win. They consistently get the job done every year, and I think that's already going to be a very impactful transfer.
I think Van Lith goes to either USC or UConn because it
That'd
seems
be
as though
sick.
she kind of wants to be a ring chaser.
Yeah.
I mean,
You
I have
get the
a
sense of that.
name. I mean, if John L. Davis comes back, his coach went to Michigan, or where did he go? Dusty May?
He went to Michigan.
Michigan. John L. Davis at Michigan
Yeah,
in the
yeah.
Big Ten. There aren't a lot of guards that play like John L. Davis in the Big Ten. I mean, you saw it like with a few guards like last year, like Shannon and stuff. But John L. Davis can get buckets. He can score, and he has an extra year. So I mean,
Yeah, my only problem with Davis is basketball IQ.
it's
Like,
not great. You saw it in the tournament,
Yeah,
but
you
he
saw
could score.
He
I
can
mean, they
score,
went to the
for sure.
Final Four last year. So I mean,
Mhm.
if you see like that, they have experience. So
Yeah.
you get guys like that.
All right, I want to ask you guys, where do you think Bronny's going to go if he doesn't go into the draft?
I would love to see him go to Duquesne. I
Yep,
love
that's
I
what-
love
that
the
would be-
storyline.
that would
It's
be
all about the
great.
Yeah.
storyline.
Yeah.
LeBron James is his teammate in high school, and then Dan Brott was just the head coach that just retired from Duquesne, was LeBron's head coach at St. Vincent St. Mary's, and then Drew Joyce just got promoted as the head coaching job. I think that would be a wonderful storyline
think
for
it'd be
Bronny
really
to
cool.
go there.
I think he'll go to Ohio State personally.
Yeah,
I think
yeah.
Ohio State, because I think it fits for him like really well. Just because Ohio State as a program right now, they just lost their head coach. They're a little like
They need a star.
yeah, they need a star. They need someone that can come in and like take over. And Bronny James has a chance. He's a sophomore next year. He's on a team that they're not always high in the recruiting rankings. They're not always superstar talent wise. But he goes back home essentially to Ohio, where his dad was from. And he put up numbers. I mean, then you see LeBron go to the Cavs. I mean, that could be hilarious. if that happened.
I just think there's just no. I think he's killing his career if he goes to the NBA. I think that would be the stupidest thing
would
he could
be. Oh,
possibly
yeah.
do. But I do think that he should go to an Ohio State or Duquesne where he can be a featured part of the offense. Then you'll actually be able to see what he's able to do. Because he was with Isaiah. How do you pronounce it?
Isaiah Collier.
Yeah.
Collier. I mean, he was never going to be the
Yep.
guy there. He was never going to look like an NBA player there. So where
Yeah,
he
he
can be
averaged, like,
featured, I think he's going to
4.8 points a game.
Because Boogie Ellis was also there
Yep,
too.
that's what I was gonna say.
Yeah. So I mean, that's interesting.
I mean, they had the star power, just they
Yeah.
couldn't put it together. And I mean,
Yeah,
Bronny, in my honest opinion, I don't see him in the NBA. I feel like he might test it out. I don't think these owners and managers are gonna be that high on him.
I think
mean,
Bryce James is going to be an NBA player.
He's
Yeah.
got
the
Bryce
height.
James.
He's
Bryce
got the
James is
height.
a lot taller.
Bryce James
yes.
is going to be way better
Yes.
than Bronny James will ever be.
I mean, he might go to Bryce James might commit somewhere if he doesn't go to the NBA right away.
Oh, one more thing about the transfer portal. Robbie Avila. Where do you think this guy goes?
Oh, Robbie Viet, because of his
Kareem
name.
Abdul-Jabbar?
You're right.
I want to
Um,
see him at Power 5.
Yeah.
Send him to Arkansas now that Calipari is there.
That
Send him
would
to
be-
Arkansas.
yeah,
I want to see
yeah,
what
about
Calipari
Kentucky.
could do with a player like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll start at a school. I'll say Kansas.
Ooh.
Because Kansas, like the way they developed
They're
bigs
losing
over the last few
Dickinson,
years,
right?
they're losing.
Yeah.
Dickinson's in his 6th year. He's gone. You have their guards are coming back. McCullers coming back. You have a lot of talent coming back. If Avila can just be a passer, that's
He's
scary because he
literally
can
his
score. But
confidence.
if he can have 10 assists a game,
His
Yep.
comp
As a
is
big.
literally a Jokic.
it
Like,
is like
Yeah.
the way he plays.
Yeah.
Like, he has that like underwhelming build that you look at him like Jokic. You're like, oh, he can't play. That he shoots
Yeah.
like
one of
40%
the best
from
passers
three.
I've
And
ever
then
seen in
he,
the
yeah,
center position.
yeah, like that's just.
And I think the most fun option is he stays at Indiana State and they win the national championship.
That would be.
Yeah,
I would say I could say Penn State,
could-
but that's not.
you could
that,
say,
that's not that
never.
funny.
You know what? Indiana State's coach, you could maybe see him at Kentucky. I don't know.
You could.
But I don't think he's got the pedigree.
Yeah.
Like they
What,
want to
Indiana
hire
State's
a guy.
head coach
Yeah.
going to Kentucky?
Yeah.
Oh
I don't know
no!
about
Oh
that.
no! That
Yeah, I don't
that
think
could not happen.
No. This is me saying, wow, wouldn't that be fun?
Yeah, that
Yeah.
that would be fun.
It's not gonna happen, but it'll be fun.
All right. Thank you guys for tuning in. We're gonna check out the next show now. Tomorrow we got baseball with
Ooh,
these
yeah,
beautiful
make sure
four
Reynolds
faces.
is back all-star
Oh,
lineup
yeah, come
here.
Oh
on.
yes.
So make sure to tune in tomorrow for that. And yeah, that's all we got for you guys today. Thank you for tuning in.